Hi boys and girls, today we are going to do an experiment with some pumpkins. I have uploaded a recording sheet like this that your adult can run off for you, print it, or you can get your journal and you can draw it inside your journal. This first one right here says, do you think the large pumpkin will sink or float? And what that means, sink means it goes to the bottom and it sits at the bottom of the water, like the bottom of the ocean. Float means it's going to stay on the top. The bottom part will not touch the bottom of the container. It just floats on top. So I want you to make a hypothesis, which is a guess. In this box, do you think that your pumpkin will float on the top of the water or will it sink to the bottom? So like Mrs. Tuck might put here, let me show you the pumpkin so you can decide for yourself. Let me move this water. All right, this is our pumpkin and it's very, very heavy, very, very heavy. So I want you to think about if you were holding this pumpkin and you were gonna put it in the water, is it gonna float in the water or sink all the way to the bottom? And so, say maybe my hypothesis might be that I think it will go to the bottom of the container in the water. So I would take my orange color crayon and I would put an orange circle at the bottom. It doesn't mean that I'm right. I don't know yet till I put it in the water. I'm just guessing what I think because it's awfully heavy. So I want you to decide, will it sink to the bottom or is it going to float on the top? I'm going to give you just a second to do that. And then I'm going to take the big, large pumpkin and I'm going to put it in this container here because I needed as much water as I could and a tall container. Okay, so I'm going to put this over here. Are you ready to find out if it's going to sink or float? I said I think it's going to sink to the bottom because it's heavy, but we're going to find out. So I'm going to put it into the water. You are not going to believe this. It is floating. I was wrong. Oh my goodness. Okay. So you know what I have to do and what you have to do on your recording sheet is I'm going to have to go here because it says what happened when you put that large pumpkin in the water. And so I'm going to color my circle on top of the water because it actually floated. So I want you to do that. So my hypothesis was the large pumpkin would sink all the way to the bottom and just sit at the bottom of the container. But when I put the large pumpkin in, it actually floated. It turned over, but it floated. Now the stem is touching, and if I broke the stem off, it would be floating. The stem couldn't touch because it wouldn't be there, but it would still be floating in the water. So now I'm going to take this pumpkin out and dry it off just a little bit. Okay. The next thing it says, do you think the small pumpkin will sink or float? Hey, this is the small pumpkin. So I want you to decide, make a hypothesis, which is a guess. When I put this in the water, is it going to float on top or is it going to sink to the bottom? So I'm going to go ahead and make my hypothesis. I'm not going to show you this one this time. I want you to make your hypothesis. And now it's time to find out what's going to happen. Look at that tall stem. Okay, here we go. Look at that! That one floated too! Well, I wonder if I put it in this large tub, it's shorter, if it would float in that. Let's go put it in this one and find out. Now this one is not deep enough. It floated, but it's not, the water's not deep enough for it. So that's the reason why. We actually could see that this one is floating on the top also. So guess what? I'm gonna go, I should have made my pumpkin a little smaller. I'm gonna go next to this one right here, and I'm gonna draw a pumpkin floating. My hypothesis was that it would float, and I was right, it floated. And the reason I decided it would float is because the large pumpkin that was really heavy floated, so the smaller one had to float too. Now the bottom, I'm gonna have you do with your adult. When your adult goes and buys a pumpkin, I want you to help them clean it out really good, get all the seeds and the pulp and strands out, and then I want you to get a tub, or your adult get a tub, a deep tub with water, and fill it up with water. And then I want y'all to place it in the water and see, will it float if you take all the seeds out and all those strands out? Will it float on top of the water, or will it sink? So I'm leaving the bottom for you to do with your adult, and I think you'll have fun. Hey, and when you're finished, dry it off and turn it into a jack-o'-lantern. How fun is that? Bye.